My name's Alex, and I'm 26 years old. A couple weeks ago, I sat alone at a restaurant booth meant for 10, a folded black gown beside me, and a mostly untouched steak in front of me, going cold. It was my graduation dinner. Well, it was supposed to be. After years of working full-time nights while studying during the day, surviving on vending machine coffee and hand-me-down textbooks, I had finally walked the stage and earned my master's in clinical psychology. I wasn't expecting fireworks, but I'd been holding on to this night as something sacred, a quiet celebration with the people who said they were proud of me. I'd reserved a private room, pre-ordered food so no one had to stress, even paid in advance for custom desserts with our last names printed in gold. But when the time came, nobody showed. Not my mom, not my brother, not my aunt, who practically raised me as a kid, not even my cousin Jenna, who once called me her second big brother. I refreshed my phone every few minutes, then every 30 seconds, then just kept it in my hand like it might buzz with some apology, some explanation. It didn't. Then I got a text from Mom. Just one line. Not everything has to be about you. I read it over and over until the words stopped making sense, as if I'd demanded too much for inviting them to dinner after 6 years of nonstop grinding. I didn't reply. I just stared at my untouched wine glass and felt the kind of cold that doesn't come from outside. About 2 hours later, as I was folding the receipt and thanking the staff for letting me stay past closing, I saw it. My aunt had posted a picture on Facebook, my brother grinning like he just won the lottery, holding up a plastic trophy that said Game Night Champion. They'd all gone to his place, pizza boxes in the background, soda cans, laughter. The caption read, "Proud of the real winner in the family." I didn't even realize I was holding my breath until I nearly choked on it. It wasn't just the post. It was the string of likes, the laughing emojis in the comments, the way nobody had mentioned me at all, as if I hadn't accomplished anything worth remembering. I didn't cry. I didn't even get angry right away. I just paid the $2,300 bill, got in my car, and drove home in silence. The kind where even the engine feels like it's holding its breath. The thing is, they probably forgot something important. I was the one covering the mortgage on my parents' house. I was the one who paid off my brother's medical bills when he sprained his shoulder trying to train for American Ninja Warrior 3 years ago. I'd been quietly paying the utilities for both my aunt and cousin since COVID hit, just to keep them afloat. Never made a fuss about it. Never asked for thank yous or dinners or public praise. But I remembered every transaction, every overdraft I covered, every time I said, "Don't worry about it." And they didn't. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen counter with my laptop open, every billing account and bank login lined up in tabs. I didn't even hesitate. It was like I'd already made the decision hours ago. I just didn't realize it until my fingers started moving. First, I canceled the auto payments to my parents' mortgage. Then my brother's gym membership, which was on my card for some reason. Then the utilities, the groceries I'd been funding through Instacart for my aunt. Each cancellation felt lighter, like peeling off soaked clothes after a storm. I left no notes, no warnings, just silence. By morning, my phone was vibrating nonstop. 13 missed calls from Mom, a barrage of texts from my brother, half confused, half passive-aggressive. A single message from my aunt. What happened? The lights won't turn on. Did something go wrong with the account? I didn't reply. I let the silence do the talking. But of course, the silence didn't last long. That afternoon, my cousin Jenna showed up at my apartment, knocking like the building was on fire. I didn't answer. I watched through the peephole as she typed something furiously into her phone, then stood back and waited. Moments later, my phone buzzed again. Her text said, "They're freaking out. Your mom's crying. Your brother says he can't believe you'd do this. You need to fix this, Alex. This isn't you. That's the thing. This was me. The version of me that had finally stopped waiting for the family I kept giving to, hoping one day they'd show up. I had been over backward for years. I paid, I covered, I kept them afloat. And when I wanted one night, just one, to matter, I was told I was selfish for wanting to be seen. Still, something about Jenna's message stung. This isn't you. Like my only role in their lives was to serve them quietly, gratefully, and without complaint. If I stepped outside that role, I was out of line. I didn't answer her either. That evening, I got a long email from my mom. She went on and on about how families fight, how I shouldn't be so sensitive, how they just got caught up in the moment and didn't realize how important that night was to me. She ended it with, "We've all sacrificed for you over the years. It's not fair to act like you've done everything alone." I read that last line 5 times. Sacrificed? I remembered being 19, working 2 jobs to pay for my textbooks while my brother used my car to go on road trips with his friends. I remembered skipping meals while Mom asked me for help with a short-term loan that never got paid back. I remembered spending Christmas alone because they all decided last minute to go skiing as a family and forgot to tell me. I remembered it all and realized they didn't see it that way. To them, I was just the extra, the backup plan, the bank account with a smile. That night, I decided to stop being available. But I wasn't done yet, because as the days passed, the panic turned to anger. My brother posted a not-so-subtle jab on Facebook. Some people think money makes them better than family. Sad world we live in. My mom sent me a voice message, her tone sharp and scolding. "This isn't how adults handle things, Alex. You're punishing everyone over a dinner." Even my aunt chimed in. "We're family. You can't just abandon us." But that's when something inside me truly shifted. Because I could. And I had. And now, I had a plan. I didn't respond, not yet. I let the outrage grow, let them sit in the stew of their own confusion and entitlement for a while longer. My phone never stopped buzzing. But I turned off notifications, shoved it into a drawer, and went for a walk around my neighborhood. For the first time in what felt like years, the air felt clean, quiet, mine. Over the next few days, the guilt-tripping texts evolved into full-blown accusations. My mom was the loudest. She called from different numbers, left voicemails that swung wildly from weepy apologies to bitter rants. One minute it was, "You know how much I love you, sweetie," and the next it was, "You're acting like a stranger. Is that what all this education turned you into?" Cold and cruel. She tried to loop an extended family. I got a call from my uncle in Oregon, who hadn't said more than 3 words to me since 2018. "Hey, kiddo, your mom's a wreck. She says you're punishing her over a dinner. You know she didn't mean it." I just hung up. Then the real kicker came a few nights later. I got a knock on my door around 10 p.m., a frantic one, the kind that makes you freeze mid-step. I peeked through the peephole. It was my brother. He was wearing a hoodie and gym shorts, like he'd just stormed out of his house. His face was red, jaw clenched, pacing in place. I could hear him muttering under his breath as he kept knocking. "Alex, open up. We need to talk. Come on, man. You're being ridiculous." I didn't move. After a few minutes, he stopped knocking and just stood there. Then he pulled out his phone. Seconds later, my phone buzzed from the drawer. "I'm serious, Alex. This is real petty of you. You think you're better than us now? Just because you got a degree? You've always acted like you're the victim in this family. Grow up. That was the last straw." I walked into my home office and opened my password manager. One by one, I logged into every single account still tethered to their lives, utilities, insurance, shared credit cards, even the Netflix account that my aunt's entire household was still mooching off of. I clicked remove on all their profiles. I paused for a moment before deleting one final auto payment, my brother's car insurance. Then I clicked confirm. The next morning, I woke to another dozen messages. "My mom, how could you cut off the water? Your father had to shower at the YMCA. My brother, if my insurance lapses, I swear to God, man. You better fix this. This is bigger than you." My aunt, "Are you trying to make us all miserable?" I ignored everyone. Instead, I sent a single group text. "Just to be clear, I'm not mad about dinner. I'm mad because you all showed me exactly how little I mattered unless I was doing something for you. You made a choice that night and I'm simply following your lead. Take care." For a few hours, there was silence. Then Mom responded, "You're breaking this family apart, Alex." I stared at the message for a long time, and then, for the first time in my life, I blocked her. I blocked all of them. But the story didn't end there. Because 10 days later, a letter showed up in my mailbox. Handwritten. No return address. Inside was a card, generic, blank on the outside. On the inside, just 6 words, written in sharp, furious handwriting. Hope your degree keeps you warm. No signature, no name. But I knew exactly who it was from. I almost laughed. Almost. Because by now, I'd done more than cut them off financially. I'd started something else. Something quiet. Calculated. You see, over the years of supporting them, I'd accumulated receipts, statements, even voicemails. I'd helped my mom refinance her mortgage once, and in doing so, I'd accidentally discovered she'd taken out a secret personal loan under my name years ago, when I was 21. I hadn't thought much of it at the time, because I was too broke to even notice. But now, I had the records. And that's when the revenge stopped being emotional. It became strategic. I'd already started the process of reporting identity fraud to the credit agencies. I had proof. It was going to take weeks, maybe months, but I'd be clearing my name and dragging hers through the necessary legal hoops in the process. And as for my brother, turns out the car insurance cancellation hit harder than I expected. His policy had been flagged due to a claim he filed last year after hitting a deer. Without my payment history covering for him, he was now considered high risk. Premiums shot through the roof. His little gym bro lifestyle starting to crack. My aunt? She'd been using my payments to cover the electricity at her bakery, which she'd opened on a whim 2 years ago. With the power off, her reviews tanked. She had to shut it down for maintenance. But I knew the truth. And me? I was finally free. Of the noise, the manipulation, the endless loop of giving and never receiving. But just as I was beginning to settle into my new silence, something happened. Something I wasn't expecting. A message, a real one this time. From Jenna. Jenna's message came through email, not text, which told me immediately she knew I'd blocked everyone. The subject line was just my name, plain and quiet, but the body of the message was long, messy, honest in a way that made me pause before even reading the second paragraph. Hey, Alex. I don't know if you'll even read this, but I needed to try. I didn't go to the game night. I had a shift. I didn't know it was the same night as your graduation dinner until afterward. I swear, if I'd known, I would have been there. I kept reading, each line making me sit a little straighter. I've been thinking about what happened, about how much you've always done for everyone, about how easy it's been for all of us to take and never ask how you're doing. I guess I just got used to the idea that you'd always be around, quiet, reliable, the background guy who fixed everything. There it was, the role I'd been assigned. She went on. When the lights went out at Aunt Lisa's house, she freaked out. She was ranting about the ungrateful little brat who ruined her business. But even in that moment, I realized something. None of them were talking about what they did to you. Not once did anyone say, maybe we should have been there. It was all about what they lost, what you took. And that's when I started to get angry. Not at you, at them, and at myself. I didn't realize I'd been holding my breath until I read the next part. You didn't just pay for things, Alex. You were the glue. And we all pretended we couldn't see the cracks you were covering up, because it was easier to believe that you were fine. But you weren't, and we failed you. I failed you. That part hit harder than I expected, because until then I hadn't thought of Jenna as part of the problem. She was always just there, sweet and distant. But reading those words, I saw how deep the rod had gone, not out of cruelty, but complacency. They all got comfortable in the idea that I existed to keep things running, not to live, not to celebrate, just to function. The final paragraph was short. I'm not asking for money. I'm not asking for anything. I just want to say I see it now. I see you. And I'm sorry. I stared at the screen for a long time. It was the first real apology I'd received since the whole thing exploded, and it was from the one person who hadn't even been at the center of the disaster. I didn't know what to do. A part of me wanted to reply right away. Another part wanted to delete it, shut the laptop, and go back to the peace I'd finally earned. But something about the way she'd said, I see you, felt like a splinter working its way out. I didn't reply. Not that night. Instead, I did something else. I drove. Not to my parents' house, not to my brother's. I just got in the car, turned on the music, and drove out of the city, away from the places where I'd become invisible. I found a small town an hour out, booked a cheap room at a quiet inn, and left my phone in the glove compartment. I walked until my legs ached, sat by a lake until the sun dipped below the trees, watched strangers laugh and talk, none of them knowing me, none of them expecting anything. For once, I didn't feel like a caretaker, or a wallet, or a disappointment for wanting something back. I felt like a person. When I finally returned home 3 days later, I found something unexpected taped to my door. An envelope, no name. Inside was a handwritten note and a photo. The note read, "You didn't deserve what we did. I'm sorry. I know it's late, but I miss you. Please talk to me. Mom." The photo was from my high school graduation. I was standing in the center, diploma in hand, wearing a crooked smile. My mom had her arm around me. My brother was making a stupid face in the background. I'd forgotten that moment even existed. I wanted to feel something, regret, anger, forgiveness, but all I felt was distance, like the version of me in that photo had belonged to a different life, a different boy, one who still thought his family would show up no matter what. I set the photo down and went inside, sat at my desk, reopened the email from Jenna. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, and then I heard it. A knock. Not loud, just 3 soft taps. Someone was outside, and I had a feeling I knew exactly who it was. I didn't move right away. The knock came again, 3 soft taps, almost timid this time. I stood, walked slowly to the door, and paused with my hand on the knob. My breath hitched for just a second. After everything, the betrayal, the silence, the guilt-tripping, the gaslighting, the quiet unraveling of years of one-sided loyalty, this was the moment I'd been unknowingly walking toward. I opened the door. It was my mom. She looked older, not in the way time does, but in the way regret carves out something behind the eyes. Her hair, which had always been styled just so, was loose and frizzy from the wind. Her coat was mismatched with her shoes. She had no makeup on. She looked human, and for the first time in years, she looked smaller than I remembered. She opened her mouth to speak, but I raised my hand. "I read the note," I said. She blinked. I wasn't sure if you'd even see it." "I saw it," I repeated. There was a long, jagged pause between us. She shifted on her feet, her eyes scanning the doorway like she wasn't sure if she was welcome to take a step forward. I didn't move. I didn't invite her in. Not yet. "Alex," she said, voice cracking. "I messed up." I didn't reply. I waited. She swallowed hard. I didn't just mess up dinner. I messed up everything. For a long time. Still, I said nothing. I wanted to see if she could finish this without trying to make me comfort her. "You were the good kid," she continued. "Never asked for anything. Never caused problems. And I thought, maybe I just thought you didn't need the same attention, that you'd be fine, that you'd always be there." I looked her dead in the eye. "You thought I was a tool, not a person." Her lip trembled, and I watched her wrestle with the truth of that. She didn't deny it. That was something, at least. "I've been going through everything these past couple weeks," she said. "All the bills you paid, the money you gave us, the things you covered without ever saying a word. I asked your father if he even knew about half of it. He didn't." "Of course not," I said quietly. Nobody ever bothered to ask. Tears began to fill her eyes, but I still didn't flinch. I had cried enough for both of us over the years. "I don't deserve forgiveness," she said. "I know that. But I'm here because I needed you to hear me say it. I failed you, Alex. I failed you over and over, and I made it worse by acting like you owed us something, like your love was conditional on what you could provide. That's not family. I don't even know what that is anymore." She stepped back, suddenly aware of herself. "I don't expect you to let me in. I don't even expect a second chance. I just want you to know. I'm sorry. And if you never talk to me again, I'll still be sorry." I stared at her, quiet. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't even bitter. I was just done pretending. "Do you know what the worst part was?" I said finally. "It wasn't that nobody showed up. It was that you made me feel like I was wrong for asking you to. like I should have known better than to think I mattered that much. Her tears broke thin. She nodded slowly, clutching her coat like it was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. "I know," she whispered. "I know. I hate that it took losing everything to see it." For a long moment we stood there. And then, I said, "You're right. I don't owe you forgiveness. But I do believe people can change, if they want to." "I want to," she said, her voice desperate and small. "I don't want to be this person anymore." "Then prove it," I said. "Not to me. To yourself. Start with that." She nodded once, like it took every bit of strength to hold herself together. And then she stepped back, turned, and walked away. I didn't call her back. I didn't need to. That night, I sat at my kitchen table and wrote a long email. Not to my mom, not to my brother, not to my aunt, to Jenna. I told her I'd read her message, that I appreciated it, that it didn't fix everything, but it meant something. I told her I needed time, space, but that I believed she was sincere. And maybe, when I was ready, we could talk. She replied the next day, "I'll be here, however long it takes." The weeks that followed were quiet. I focused on work. I volunteered at a free clinic downtown, helping people who were trying to rebuild their lives, many of whom had been abandoned or used by their families too. I saw parts of myself in them. And that made the healing feel less lonely. I eventually cleared my name from the fraudulent loan my mom had taken out. It took some paperwork, a lot of phone calls, and a few unpleasant meetings, but I did it. I even got a small settlement after proving identity misuse. That money? I didn't spend a dime. I opened a savings account with a new bank and titled it simply Future. My brother never reached out again. I saw on social media that he sold his car, moved back in with Dad. My aunt's bakery officially closed its doors a month later. No apology ever came. And that was okay, because by then, I'd finally stopped waiting for one. Months passed. Summer faded into fall. And then, on a chilly October morning, I found an envelope in my mailbox. No name. Again. But this one wasn't from my mom. Inside was a small card. On the front was a photo of a lake, serene, quiet. Inside, the handwriting was familiar. "If you ever want to start over, there's a place for you at our table. Not because of what you can bring, just because it's you. Jenna." I held the card for a long time, and for the first time in over a year I smiled. Because for once, someone didn't want me for what I could give. They wanted me for who I was, and that was enough.